Grover Underwood is a very important character in the Percy Jackson series that we all know and love. He serves as a great best friend and a great sidekick, helping Percy get through so much but also accomplishing a lot on his own. In this video, I'm going over the whole story of Grover based on all the Rick Riordan books that he appears in. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, and now let's get into the life of Grover Underwood. Unfortunately, Grover's life before the books is unknown, so that is open to your own imagination. Grover comes across the trio, consisting of Annabeth, Luke, and Thalia, and his goal is to get them safely to Camp Half-Blood while also avoiding the forces of the underworld. This is because Thalia is a daughter of Zeus, and the big three gods were not supposed to have children, so Hades sent monsters after her. On the way to Camp Half-Blood, Grover took some wrong turns, getting them into some trouble with Cyclopes. Thalia stays back to fight them off and tells Grover to take Annabeth and Luke to camp safely. Grover does what she says and succeeds, but at the cost of Thalia, as she was struck down by the monsters and turned into a pine tree by her father. Grover blames this on himself, which decreases his confidence in himself a great deal. 5 years later, Grover was assigned to Yancey Academy, and there he met Percy Jackson, finding out that he was a demigod. He called Chiron, who ended up taking the form of Percy's Latin teacher. While Grover spent time with Percy at Yancey Academy, they became good friends. When they went on a field trip to the museum and Percy gets attacked by their teacher Mrs. Dodds, Grover tries to act like he doesn't know who Mrs. Dodds is, when Percy is confused why they have a different teacher, but Percy can tell that Grover is lying. Grover acts weird the rest of the year in Percy's eyes, and he tries to walk Percy home on the last day of school. When Grover sees the three fates snap their string, he gets super anxious and worried, and he has to go to the bathroom. And when he goes to the bathroom, Percy ditches him because he thought he was being weird. Grover tracks Percy to Montauk Beach, where Percy and his mom are on vacation, and upon arrival he informs them of the Minotaur. So Percy's mom drives them to Camp Half-Blood, but the Minotaur catches up to them and Grover gets knocked out in the process. This leaves everything to Percy. He fights the Minotaur and drags Grover to the Camp Half-Blood barrier, passing out when he makes it. Grover is very worried after this that the Council of Cloven Elders won't give him his searcher's license because he failed to bring Percy to camp safely, which was his second chance. The council then decides to tie Grover's fate to Percy, meaning he had to wait to accompany him on a quest to get his searcher's license. When Percy gets assigned to his quest where he has to go to the underworld and retrieve the lightning bolt from Hades and return it to Zeus, Grover decides to come along as it's his last chance. Percy gives Grover the flying shoes Luke gifted to him, and Grover uses them along the quest. At the start of the quest that Grover went on with Percy and Annabeth, he helped them escape the bus where they got attacked by the three Furies, and helped them in a fight between Medusa using his flying shoes and a tree branch. They had lost all their money and supplies, so Grover talks to a lost dog he found and convinces it to let them return him for the reward money, so that they can get tickets for a train ride west. On their way west, they stop at the St. Louis Arch, where Percy gets attacked by the Chimera. When they stop at a restaurant, the god Ares meets them there and pays for their food, but has them retrieve his shield back from a love ride in Waterland, which is a water park. When they go there, Grover helps Percy and Annabeth escape the ride's trap by filling it with water and catching them in midair when they jump out. When they return Ares his shield, he gives them supplies and arranges them a ride to Las Vegas on an animal smuggler truck, which infuriates Grover due to the harsh conditions that they are kept in. When they arrive to their destination, they set the animals free, but then they themselves unknowingly get trapped in the Lotus Hotel and Casino. After Percy realizes that the hotel is a trap, he and Annabeth pull Grover out of the place, and they go find the entrance to the underworld. They made it to the underworld, and when they are down there, Grover's flying shoes almost pulled him into the depths of Tartarus, but he manages to get them off just in time. Grover accompanies Percy when he confronts Hades and ends up fighting Ares, and finishes his quest. Since Grover had successfully accompanied and helped Percy, he was given his searcher's license, and he sets off on his journey to find Pan, the god of the wild, who has been missing for a very long time. On Grover's quest to find Pan, he gets captured by the Cyclops Polyphemus and has to pretend that he is a lady Cyclops and that he will marry the monster to stay alive. The reason Polyphemus got Grover is because he owns the Golden Fleece, and Grover thought that it was Pan. Grover develops an empathy link with Percy to tell him that he is in danger, and asks him for help. Grover stalls for time until he is eventually saved by Percy, Annabeth, Tyson, and Clarice, and they all defeat Polyphemus and take the fleece to heal Thalia's tree, which ends up bringing her back in the end. After the events of the Sea of Monsters on Polyphemus' island, Grover goes undercover again and finds two demigods named Bianca and Nico D'Angelo. Grover calls Percy, Annabeth, and Thalia to come help him, and a battle with the Manticore ensues, ending with Annabeth being captured. The goddess Artemis tries to save Annabeth, but she also gets captured, so Grover joins Thalia, Bianca, a hunter of Artemis named Zoe, and eventually Percy on a quest to save the two. On their quest, they journey to New Mexico where Bianca sacrifices herself to save the others. They are all depressed about the loss of Bianca, and while Grover is drinking some coffee, they are visited by the spirit of Pan, and Grover falls unconscious from the strength of the presence. He later then states that after the quest, he will go back to New Mexico and drink lots of coffee to find Pan. Grover accompanies them on the rest of their quest, and they successfully save Annabeth and Artemis. A while after the quest, a trial is held on whether Grover may continue his search or not. His girlfriend Juniper, a tree nymph, is introduced, and she is worried over the results of the trial. The other satyrs hold Grover in distaste and don't think that Pan spoke to him. Grover is miserable that his search has shown no results, and the council gives him 1 week. Grover comes along with Annabeth, Percy, and Tyson on their quest to the labyrinth, hoping that he will be able to find Pan during it. Grover does just that as he finds Pan in the labyrinth. During the short time that they spent with Pan, Grover was asked to release Pan so that his spirit could move on by telling everybody that he is dead and not to continue the search. Pan faded and his spirit entered all of them, with a little more in Grover. They returned to Camp Half-Blood and defended against the monsters that are attacking it from inside its borders. Grover opens his mouth and lets out a strange, horrible cry that causes the other army to flee, the very thing that Pan was well known for in the First Titan War. When Grover goes before the council and tells them of Pan's death, the satyrs brand him a traitor and demand his exile, but Chiron and Dionysus believe and support him. Because Dionysus' vote counts for 2, the council is unable to reach a decision and must be dissolved, allowing Grover to remain. Grover then decides to spread the word of Pan's death and rally the nature spirits together to grant Pan's dying wish to recreate the wild in their corner of the world. While trying to gain support from the nature spirits in Central Park, Grover crosses paths with the god of dreams, Morpheus. When Grover questions what he is doing here, Morpheus explains that he is just examining the battlefield before putting Grover into a deep sleep for 2 months. Despite no one knowing where he is, the Council of Cloven Elders refuses to look for him as they consider him a deserter and a liar for saying that Pan has died. Even after Juniper pleads with Linus to find him, the satyr refuses until Percy becomes angry with him and yells at him for not doing anything. When Percy and Nico go to Central Park to gain entrance into the underworld, Percy faintly feels his empathy link with Grover. They wake up Grover as he falls from a tree, and he opens a path to the underworld using his reed pipes. Later in the Battle of Manhattan, Linus and several other satyrs play a magical tune on their reed pipes, casting a spell on Hyperion. While Percy fought the Titan, this spell caused roots to grow up from the ground that eventually encased Hyperion inside of a tree. At the end of the battle, Grover is elected onto the Council of Cloven Elders by Dionysus, after Linus was stabbed and killed during the battle. Dionysus also gives him the position of Lord of the Wild, becoming Pan's heir and being recognized by all the nature spirits. When Percy goes missing, Grover sets off on a search to find him. When Percy was dreaming, he sees Grover but doesn't remember him as Hera had taken his memory. When Grover tries to talk to him, Percy says he doesn't have any spare change, as the fawns at Camp Jupiter are constantly asking for change. Grover doesn't know what Percy is talking about, but he tells Percy to stay put. Later on, while Percy and Annabeth are in Tartarus, Grover accompanies Rachel to deliver a message sent by Annabeth to Reyna. While Grover is just there to protect Rachel, he warns the Romans that the nature spirits can feel that Gaia is stirring. Grover is seen with Camp Half-Blood during the Roman invasion, leading the nymphs and satyrs into battle. He survives the battle, and after consulting with the other nature spirits, announces that they can no longer sense Gaia after her scattering and believes that the Earth has returned to normal. After the war, Grover and the Council of Cloven go to California to deal with the drought. Not too long after, Apollo and Meg summon Grover to help and accompany them through the labyrinth. Grover helps the two, and when they finish what they set off to do, Grover bids them farewell and good luck and returns to Camp Half-Blood. After Percy and Annabeth celebrate graduating high school, Grover goes off with them to the West Coast. Grover starts off having very little confidence in himself. Throughout his life, we see him grow and become more and more confident in himself and overall become a hero. He does what many satyrs had failed to do in the past, and in the end he becomes the Lord of the Wild and goes down as one of the greatest satyrs in history. Hey guys, I'm just here to give a big thank you to everybody who watched the video all the way through. It really means a lot because I put a lot of time and effort into them to make sure that they're the best for you guys. Feel free to follow me on Instagram to see a little bit of my personal life. Feel free to follow me on Twitter to see cool little tweets, and feel free to follow me on TikTok to see cool little videos. If you did enjoy this video, also feel free to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and maybe leave a cool little comment. And with all that being said, thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. My kitty says goodbye.